Good morning, beautiful people. It is day 21. It is nice out, a little overcast, sun barely coming up. Perfect day, perfect day. Just a nice today. Got a meeting coming up, so we're out here. We're out here today. The unexamined life is not worth living by Socrates. And why is the unexamined life not worth living? When I hear about that, I think about how so many people live in the future, so many people live in the past, and they're not living in the present moment. They're complaining about the present moment. They're destroying themselves in the present moment. They're not taking care of themselves physically, mentally. And they're living in a life that can't be examined. You can't quite touch, feel, sense what's happening tomorrow, right? It's not here yet. You can't examine it, but you can break apart. You can sit there and think about what you are doing in your life on any given moment and what your habits are, what you're struggling with, and so forth. So that's when I hear that quote. That's what brings to me, and thought I'd share with you. Let's talk about, we talked about some health and fitness, about pushing through injuries, working through injuries not being an excuse, but what are some best ways to prevent injuries? And I'm probably not the best talk about this since I'm so injured all the time. But coaching over the years, coach a long time. And it's funny how I would see some people lift completely improperly with terrible technique, and they never once really hurt themselves, and they were unable to push their body to certain limits because of their technique. Even though that they were strong, they can lift so much more weight if they did it more mechanically, but that would also mean if they shifted out of technique again, it might break them, right? So some people limit their abilities because they don't have good technique at all, but that also allows them to not lift to their full potential. But how do you prevent injuries? Definitely number one should be proper warm-ups, making sure you're getting enough rest. Good morning, how you doing? Definitely the best thing is to properly warm up your muscles. Not necessarily big stretching beforehand, but more getting them firing, getting them working, getting them ready to move. Proper warm-ups are always a good way, depending on how intense of the activity you are doing. If you're doing a more intense activity, like sprinting, for example, you definitely need to warm up more. And get those hamstrings, get those quads really loosened up, really firing before you overly push them and rip them apart, basically. So you have to warm up properly. Definitely, I did say sleep. Make sure you are your body's fueled in many different ways. Sleep is a good one, and proper nutrition. If you eat like crap, you eat like shit. You're just constantly putting sugar and poison into your body. Your body's not going to naturally heal itself as much. If you're putting a bunch of foods in your system that's inflaming you, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to be more inflamed. Your body's going to be more likely to break down. Sleep, a hard one. Because, I don't have sleep, I'm just too busy working. Do I not just work out? No, it's not about just not working out. It's just about not pushing your body to its absolute limits. That means not maxing out all the time. That means, not having to lift heavy. It doesn't mean you can't get some intensity or you can't, work out at all. Absolutely not. Prevention, obviously, technique, doing things more properly. I should be on there. I shouldn't be talking bad about it. You just can't do whatever you want and think that you're not going to injure yourself. Absolutely not. But what you need to do is you need to make sure you are not lifting improperly and pushing yourself to your limits, right? You do back squats improper, you're rounding out your back, eventually you're going to hurt yourself. But if you do a back squat improperly and your back's rounding out and you just stay with the bar and just do high reps, you're really going to be hurting yourself. No, you're probably going to be building up your back muscles because the weight's light and you're lifting it improperly and your back's having to overly work. But let's just say you max out like that. Yeah, you might injure something. So forth. Let's talk about common myths in crypto. What are some common myths? And I'm not good at this because it's like I'm supposed to be the answer. How do I find the myths if I don't believe in them? So some of the common myths that I could come up with was that it has no real value. People say, oh, it doesn't have value. It's all a scam. It's all worthless. It's all meaningless. Hey, you might be right, but the fact is if I can sell it to somebody right away, it has value, right? It doesn't matter what it is. You might think baseball cards are worthless, but some of them have value. You might think Pokemon cards are worthless, or you might think jewelry is worthless, or you might think whatever is worthless. But as long as there's a market for it, and as long as somebody's willing to buy it, it has value. So what gives something value is whatever people want to purchase. So the fact is it has value because there's people willing to buy it. There's people willing to speculate on it. There's people willing to gamble. There's people willing to purchase it from you. So it has some sort of value, right? I don't think Bitcoin will ever not have value anymore, even if it's a failed technology. There's only a certain amount of them. Well, people just want to continue to have them and collect them and write data on them and store data on them and so forth. And that just brings to my mind, I need to store some data on Bitcoin. Got to put that back on my to-do list. I forgot to put it there. So it has value, right? There's no real physical trace of it. It doesn't exist. That's kind of another common myth. And it does exist in the real world because it's existing on people's computers. People are running a node on a little tiny computer. I mean, how small of a computer? I mean, you could run a Bitcoin node on your refrigerator if you have a proper screen on your refrigerator. You have it anywhere. And I guess I shouldn't be walking on the road. It's loud, I feel like. Jeez. Anyway. But it does exist in the real world. It exists on the computers. The network is being run on computers. The network's being secured by the miners that run these massive computers, computing power. So it does exist in the real world. It does exist in your world too, because you have to keep access to it. Remember, you have to have a wallet. That's something that you need to keep in, whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your computer, whether you wrote down some words, whether you tried to memorize it. That still exists in the real world, right? There's something out there that exists. So Bitcoin does quite exist in the real world. It's just not imaginary internet money. Yeah, you don't really see it. It's not really here. You can't really... Can you verify it? I mean, yeah, you can verify it. You can log in and you can look at the code. It's open source. So everything's verifiable. Everything's transparent. It's just not necessarily money, right? It's just not a coin. It's just not a piece of paper. It's just a different form of money, but it still exists in the real world. Another one that we talked about a few days ago or so, that is bad for the environment. Cryptocurrency is not bad for the environment at all. If you're going to be talking about how bad it is for the environment, you're probably going to be talking about the mining aspect of Bitcoin and how much energy it uses. However, you have to understand the system, how much energy a dollar produces and what backs the dollar, which is basically a mafia. All right, we'll force everybody around the world to use our dollar, and if they don't use our dollar, we're going to take out that leader and kill them, go to war with them. So how much energy output is a military industrial complex producing? How much war, how much blood? Well, all that goes away if we take away their rights to control the money aspect. Um, people are going to say war is never going to stop and this and that, but why do we fight for war? We fight for war for control, for power. And 99.9% of that today is power to control the money. It doesn't matter who has the resources if you have the control of the money. You just print the money and buy the resources. People work for you. And so if we take away that control by having a transparent, decentralized network, well, then you get rid of all that power and fight for control, which you can get rid of some of that military-industrial complex and killing people and forcing them to use your money. So the world changes quite a bit, if and when that may happen. But I definitely think we probably have a very long way to go before that does happen. But so if it's bad for the environment, you want to talk about what's bad for the environment, let's talk about the real problems in the world today, which is the military industrial complex trying to secure their money printer. That's the real problem. That's bad for the environment. Bitcoin, yes. However, as I said in the last video, the Bitcoin mining starts to force people to find more cheaper energy options. So now we are fueling a new revolution to find the cheapest energy there is in the world. We're incentivizing people to find cheap energy. That's what Bitcoin does. So this is not good. I got a leak in my yard. I don't know. Love y'all. Peace.